again soon. Good night.
Good night, Mr. Cole.
It was a delightful party, Martha.
Nelson, I'm going to hold you to your promise.
I knew you would when I made it. If he's your son, Martha, he has to be brilliant.
Myra, you heard him. He promised. And you're my witness.
I heard your trap, Nelson.
It's the story of my life. Just a helpless pawn in the hands of beautiful, scheming women.
You, Nelson Brown, helpless?
You're a dear friend to give him a chance. And I know you won't be disappointed in him.
Now, he'll have to come in for his interview, not later than the day after tomorrow. Can you arrange it?
I'll phone him right away.
Well, fine. Good night, Martha. It's a pleasure to be able to do something for you after all these years.
Thank you, Nelson. Thank you very much. Good night.
Good night. Good night, Myra.
Good night, Nelson.
Isn't he splendid?
Martha, I'm so happy for you. It's the opportunity you wanted for Howard for so long.
I can hardly wait to phone him.
I won't keep you from it another minute. Oh, it's been lonely for you here since Frank died. Now you'll have people around again.
Yes, this old house has seemed so empty.
Martha, I suppose you ought to be prepared, but suppose for some reason Howard turns it down.
Turns it down? Why on earth should he?
Oh, never mind me. It's my pessimistic streak coming out. Forget I said it. Well, I'll let myself out. You make that call.
What earthly reason would he have for turning it down? An opportunity like this.
Operator.
I want to place a long-distance call, please. Yes.
Can you get that?
Can, I'm right in the middle. Who could be calling at this hour?
A wealthy client, no doubt, in desperate need of a lawyer.
Or a painter, maybe.
Hello. Yes, it is. All right, I will. It's long distance. Mom, how are you? Am I sitting down? No, there's nothing to sit down on. No, they haven't taken our furniture away. Yeah, things haven't gotten quite that bad yet. No, we're painting the inside of the house.
Howard, I have the most wonderful news for you. Is Susan there with you? Good. Now, do you remember your father's good friend, Nelson Brown?
Brown, Brown, Courtney, and Dalton. Yes, of course. One of the finest law firms in the state. Why?
Well, they want you to join their firm.
Mom, you must be joking.
I wouldn't call you at this time of the night to make jokes. I'm serious. Now stop clowning and let me finish. The starting salary will be $15,000 a year. But of course, that's just the beginning.
A job. $15,000 a year. And that's just to start, she says, just like it was peanuts.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Howard, are you there? Howard! Oh, Howard, the phone!
Oh, yeah. Mom, we're still here. Now, what's the plan? Day after tomorrow. Yes, of course I can make it. I'll find out the plane schedules for tomorrow morning. She wants to speak to you.
Thank you, Mother. What? Me too? Oh, you're wonderful. She wants to pay for my flight. Yes, Mother. All right. We'll see you tomorrow. Good night.
$15,000.
Just to start. That must be an important firm.
One of the biggest and most respected in Chicago, that's all. Oh, baby. Goodbye to Collinsville. Goodbye to clients who can't pay, and mortgages, and made-over furniture, and paintbrushes.
Oops! We can't say goodbye to paintbrushes yet. We still have to finish these rooms.
Oh, no.
Oh, yes. You think I'd go 300 miles away from home with it looking like this? Here, Counselor. You're not a rich man yet.
One thing, I may not be there yet, but you've got to admit this. I am on my way up in the world.
A word of advice. When you go in for that interview, don't tell any jokes. I can't believe it. 15 minutes to go, and I'm ready. Howard, what is it?
Oh, it's a file on Brown's firm. Jim Sloan gave it to me this morning when I went in to tell him about the offer. I thought he sounded pretty ominous when he told me to take a look at this. Now I see why.
You mean there's something wrong about it?
Take a look. Apparently, Brown, Courtney, and Dalton have had some pretty extensive dealings with underworld characters like those.
Oh, no. But does this mean that the law firm itself has to be involved? Doesn't every lawyer have to deal with criminals sometimes in the interest of justice?
Well, we're talking about corporation law, not criminal law. Now, it's a matter of record that Mr. Brown and company have provided a legal front for organized crime.
If these things are true, you won't take the job, will you?
Would you want me to?
I'd be terribly disappointed if you did. Well, it was a nice dream, wasn't it?
Where are you going?
I'm going to unpack, to remove temptation.
Well, don't. We're still going. These clippings are pretty old, you know. There's still a slim chance that Mr. Brown and company may have reformed in the last few years. I think we ought to find out, don't you?
And if they haven't?
Then, it's back here to Collinsville, mortgages, and the struggle for survival. Agreed?
All right. But just remember, I'm not asking for anything. I don't need a big house and luxurious surroundings to be happy. I love you, just as you are. Don't change.
Not a chance. You're stuck with me the way I am. Here, take that.
Okay.
Anybody home in this old barn?
Howard!
Mom!
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, you're looking so good. And Susan.
Mother.
You look lovely. Well, how was the flight?
Oh, beautiful. Just beautiful.
The hardest part is the last hour, getting here from the airport. Us small-town folk from Collinsville just ain't used to this big city traffic, you know.
My, such language. Susan, you and I will have to take this country bumpkin in hand and make a gentleman out of it.
It won't be easy.
Oh, well.
This is the happiest day of my life. To think that you'll be here, in the city, in a fine job, with a wonderful firm, and that I had a tiny part in making it possible. You know, I've been worried that something would happen and I'd wake up and find it was all a dream.
Mother...
I'd like to freshen up a bit. Say, why don't you two go into the living room where you'd be more comfortable?
Good idea.
What's happening, Howard? What is it?
Well, Mother, there's something I have to tell you. I hadn't expected to. Well, I was hoping I could put it off for a while, but I guess it'd be better now anyway. Come on into the living room, sit down. There's something I want to show you.
Surely you don't mean to say that this proves anything. This wouldn't stand up in a court of law, would it?
No, but it's enough to raise a serious doubt.
If you only knew Nelson Brown, you would see how shocking this idea is to me. Surely you're not going to refuse on the basis of such flimsy evidence?
I'm not refusing yet. I have an appointment an hour from now with someone who may be able to give me a few more facts.
Who?
Bill Parker, a former classmate in law school. He has a practice here. I called him from the airport.
Howard, please, don't make a rash decision. You know how important this opportunity could be for you and for Susan.
Believe me, Mom, I want this job. And I appreciate all you've done. But you wouldn't want me to be part of something shady, would you?
No, of course not. Not if there was anything definitely wrong with it.
Good. I knew you'd feel that way. Well, I better get moving. I don't want to get hung up in your rush hour traffic.
Taking it pretty hard, isn't she?
Yes, but I suppose we can't blame her. She means well.
I know. What did she change her mind about tonight? It was her idea that we all have dinner out, then suddenly she insists we go without her.
Well, I don't know. Maybe she was tired from her big party last night. This is quite a place, isn't it? You better live it up while you can, honey. They don't have places like this back in Collinsville. How about the Rock Cornish game hen and wild rice?
Howard, you are tempted, aren't you? About the job, I mean.
Aren't you?
Yes. And I don't like the feeling one bit. You and I'd better have a nice long talk.
What do you say?
Martha, I don't know what to say. Are you sure you want to do this?
I must do it. It's the only way. And you must help me. It's not as though I were asking you to do something illegal or even inconvenient. Just say you will agree to it and I'll tell Nelson and then it will be settled. Please, Myra.
Well, all right. But it's against my better judgment.
Good. I knew I could count on you. Now, tomorrow morning, I must make an excuse. Shopping. I wanted to give Susan a present anyway.
But suppose Howard decides he won't even go in for the interview. He feels so strongly about it.
Then I must persuade him. I hate to be the scheming mother, but Myra, I'm determined. I think in this case I have my son's best interest at heart.
Well, I hope you're doing the right thing, for your sake.
Of course, you know how I feel about compromising on principle. But, well, maybe Mother was right.
You mean because she said you were being overly scrupulous?
After what Parker told me, no. Brown is dealing with the crime syndicate, and he doesn't even bother to cover it up. He doesn't have to. It's all perfectly legal.
Is that enough, just to be technically within the law? Is that what you want, Howard?
You know it isn't. It would go against every Christian principle we have. How could I claim to believe in morality and decency while using the law to protect racketeers? No, it's not what I want. But
It's me you're thinking of, isn't it? Howard, do you think I'm going to languish the rest of my days and wring my hands in regret just because we have to struggle a little bit?
Well, you know, I did promise to lay the world at your feet, remember? All you've got so far is Collinsville. Some world.
My world is you and what we have together, wherever we live. A reason for living, a belief in something. I wouldn't trade that for anything or any place on earth.
That's what I wanted to hear. Our return flight leaves tomorrow morning. I'm not even going in for the interview.
Well, Martha, I must say, that's quite an offer.
It's something I really could have done long ago. I've known you and Emily so long. I suppose I'm one who just lets well enough alone. Usually.
Now, let's see if I have this thing straight. You and Myra Jennings together own the controlling interest in that company, correct?
Yes. It's a growing operation and very profitable.
Yes, I know the company. And you'd have no trouble getting the board to approve the transfer?
None whatsoever. And you do know, Nelson, that the legal affairs of a company that size will net you a very substantial fee. And the extra $5,000 to Howard will hardly be felt.
Of course, of course. Martha, about that question you raised when you phoned me. I'm going to be perfectly frank with you about the way we do business here. We do have clients among the so-called underworld, but so do many of our leading bankers and corporations. I just want you to know I'm not trying to hide anything.
I understand. And I appreciate your candor. But it is all perfectly legal, isn't it?
Absolutely legal and above board. Have no fear about that.
Then it's settled. But I'm not buying Howard a position. If he isn't qualified, I don't want him to have it. You do understand?
Couldn't have it any other way. There are other partners around here, you know.
Thank you, Nelson. You are a dear friend.
Not at all, not at all. It's a highly satisfactory arrangement and a sincere pleasure to be able to be of some small service. Now, you're in along home. Don't give it another thought. I'll take care of everything. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Oh, Mother, it's so beautiful. But you shouldn't have, really.
Nonsense. You should have pretty things. One day you will be able to buy them for yourself.
Not for a long time, I'm sure.
Sooner than you may think, my dear.
Mother, even though Howard agreed to stay here a few more days, he's not going to take that job.
I think he will.
I wish I could help you understand. He can't accept it. It contradicts everything Howard believes in.
But he has gone in for an interview. And I'm sure Nelson will be able to clear away all those silly notions about dark deeds and evil men. I know he will take the job.
Well, Howard, after looking at your excellent record and having this chance to meet you, I'm beginning to believe that my social contacts have finally brought me something really worthwhile. Cigar?
No, thank you. Mr. Brown, I really don't see any point in pursuing this any further.
I'm impressed. Really impressed. Especially with your knowledge of the tax structures of this state. They didn't tell me you were also a tax expert.
Well, thank you. I've made it my special interest since law school. Suppose we get down to the facts. What about your, from what I've seen, pretty extensive connections with the racketeering type around here.
Does that bother you?
Yes. Doesn't it bother you?
No, I can't say that it does. It's all perfectly legal and exceedingly profitable. Howard, I'm not going to say you're naive, but allow me to set you straight on the facts of life. Many of our most respectable citizens do business with the underworld. And let me say one thing about what you call racketeer types. They always pay their bills. They can't afford to be involved in legal entanglements.
Now hold it right there. Where does their money come from?
What do I care where?
You know where their money comes from. 3 sources: gambling, narcotics, and prostitution.
You're getting a bit melodramatic, aren't you?
Melodramatic? You can sit there and talk in cold, business-like terms about filth like this? Mr. Brown, what are you made of?
You are young. Well, I'm going to overlook that outburst, but...
Outburst? You haven't heard the half of it. What you're really saying is, Howard, baby, everybody in the world's a phony but you. So come on in and get a little dirty with the rest of us.
You argue a good case, Counselor. But with the understanding that things will look different to you once you're on the inside. I'm prepared to offer you a starting salary of $20,000 a year.
20, but I thought... What's going on here?
Let's just say that that tax knowledge of yours has increased your value. Well, how about it? In spite of your opinions, the job's still yours if you want it.
I don't get it. I just don't get it. Doesn't anything penetrate that polished hide of yours? Now, let me say it loud and clear. I wouldn't handle your kind of garbage for $100,000 a year. So thanks, Mr. Brown. But no thanks.
Don't you preach to me, you young punk. Now wait. When you get home, you can tell your mother she can keep her business. And she can make you a present of that $5,000 without going through me.
But I did it for you. Only for you. So you wouldn't have to struggle and work yourself to death. So you could be somebody and have something.
Mother, we understand that. And we appreciate it. But can you understand us? Can you see why I had to turn it down?
No, I can't. It was the opportunity of a lifetime.
But it was a matter of principle. A matter of throwing away everything we hold sacred.
Is poverty sacred? Struggle and suffering, and being nobody, is that sacred?
Mother, I think you've changed a little in the last few years. Social position never seemed to mean quite so much. Money wasn't everything. Maybe Dad's death had something to do with that. The values that Susan and I are talking about are the same values I learned right here from you and Dad. Remember how you used to take me to church, both of you? How I used to sit between you? Remember how you used to pray with me? How we had family devotions? You and Dad gave me something. A belief in Jesus Christ. A respect for truth. That's the best thing any parent can give. A proud and beautiful heritage. When our children are born, we want to be able to pass that heritage on to them. That's why I had to turn down the offer.
How like your father you are. And to think I was worried about your being somebody.